I had on my heart to talk about the love of God. And sometimes in our heart, our perceptions of God is hindered based upon how we believe in God and how we actually see our fathers and how we've seen people and blockages that we've had in our heart and maybe hurts we've received in the past keep us from actually experiencing the love of God completely. And God, I have seen God being very faithful in the midst of making mistakes. When people make mistakes, when my children make mistakes, I still love them very dearly, even if they mess up. And it's like God cares even if we don't do what He wants us to do. And it can be very difficult for us to care about someone even if they don't do what we want them to do. One of the easiest things is to do is just not care about them then. The other thing we're tempted to do is to take control of the situation and forcibly make them do what we want them to do. Both of them are wrong. The one is just, get out of my life, I don't want to care about you anymore. And the others, I'm going to control you and make you do what I want you to do. There's a place of caring for people, even if they don't bring us the pleasure and the delight of relationship that we would like to have. Can we still in that place care very deeply? And when I look at God, He actually cares very deeply for us, even if we don't do what He wants us to do. He sits there and cries and calls us out to His heart and still wants to connect us with us in a deep way. And if we understand that God cares like this, and He empowers us to care like this too, and then if we recognize that all of this other stuff that we deal with and that we battle with can melt away. Another thing I see is the ability to trust at a deep level. How easy or hard is it to trust at a deep level? Let's say we trusted someone very deeply, and that person violated us. And that hurt because we opened a deep place in our heart to trust. And when we did that, there's a hurt down there, and we might have made a vow we'll never trust anybody in that place in our heart again. And it's rightfully so. It's not always safe to trust everybody. But I want to challenge us that we actually go there and choose to trust God in the midst of a place where we might have been damaged, wounded, or hurt. There is a place that I've seen girls getting hurt when they're little girls, and they shut that part of their heart down, and they hide it away, and they don't want anybody to look at that ever again. And then they grow up, and they're this adult girl. And somewhere along the line, this thing down here they shut off causes problems. And when we go there and open it up, now we've got a little girl that needs some extra papa's love to grow and mature, that part of our heart. If we don't understand this, we think that they're odd, weird, wacky. If we understand that part of a girl's heart, or a boy's heart can be shut down too. And if we understand the wounds and the woundings, that I look at our girls. We have two little girls, and they love crawling on my lap. And I enjoy holding them. At some point, they no longer enjoy sitting on my lap as much. And they grow up and they don't need that. What happens in a girl's heart when this little thing gets opened up, all of a sudden they desire that father's love in a way that it's like the feelings of emotions that desires that. And yet they're in an adult body. And then how do you deal with that? But minister to that heart in a soft and tender way and help that heart grow into a place of full maturity as a woman. These are some things that I am observing that as we go deep into the things of God and deep into our heart, and we start bringing up some of this trash, we're going to see some of these things just open up. The other thing that I'm seeing is that we're made of body, soul, and spirit, or we're made of emotion, our emotional health. Can we be emotional beings that can love and connect emotionally at a deep level with one another? And if there are wounds and hurt and pain there, it's very difficult to do that. And so we have certain areas of our heart shut or blocked that we actually can't feel. And what I see is that the things that destroy the heart and cause the emotions to shut down and cause the feelings, and then we start processing this stuff and we come up with all this garbage. The thing of harsh words against a soft heart. There are people that need a direct word to get their attention. Otherwise, you never get their attention. There are people that need it, a very direct word. There are other people that will come apart when you give them such a direct word or such a harsh word. And as fathers, raising soft little tender hearts, raising them up, are we careful with our words so that we don't damage the hearts as they grow up? That the heart grows in full capacity and love. There are twisted things that we keep reading about in our Amish people just recently this last week. And I don't want to go into details, but I look at that and I say here's an ignorance. Here's an ignorance of a father or a grandfather abusing the granddaughters and violating them in a way that twists their trust of men and sexually violates them. This should not once be found among us. This should not be. This stuff shouldn't be able to happen. We should be able to take responsibility for our passions, our human desires. We should have them in control of under the Spirit, under holiness and under righteousness. We should be able to be responsible for what we allow our minds and our thoughts to get involved in, and what we allow even our sexual passions to get involved in. There is appropriateness and there's an inappropriateness of this, and it falls into sin and creates a lot of hurt and pain. And in the midst of this hurt and pain, there comes shame. And shame settles down on a people group or on their hearts. And we need to lift off the shame and bring the pain to the cross and deal with these hurts and these wounds and bring them to the Lord Jesus Christ. Christ paid for all of it. He paid for all of our healing that has ever happened. And he's paid the price even for these people that fall off of the path. There's even been some men that we walk with that fall off the path. We need to stay faithful on the path of righteousness and the path of truth. And recognize that some of the stuff that we deal with in our heart is not easy. And that we would resolve in our heart to press through it, even if it's not easy. Some of the walk in the journey in life is not easy. Going deep in your heart and dealing with stuff way down deep, it's not always easy. But it's possible. There's freedom that is available for our hearts. There's freedom and complete healing, emotionally and physically available for those who would be willing to press in and trust God. Another thing I see is this thing of performance and the performance and has to do with the training of a dad who will teach his children how to perform for him without connecting emotionally with his heart. And instilling a traumatic experience for the child, to insert that performance training, creating a trauma-like or an emotional pain or emotional and physical pain, to insert his programming about how he wants the child to behave. There's a proper way to train up our children. I'm not saying spankings are wrong. I believe spanking is in the right place at the right age are wrong. Spankings at the wrong age in the wrong place are wrong. Spankings at the right age at the right time are right. And the wrong age at the wrong time are wrong. They do more damage than good. And what I see is this thing of people coming to these places where they have been abused by parents that love them but are ignorant. We shouldn't be ignorant about the emotions of our heart, the feelings of our heart. We shouldn't be ignorant about that. We should actually learn how to help bring healing to lives and hearts in this area. I see the devil wants to insert in the midst of a traumatic event. He wants to insert his lie into somebody's soul and put that in there and control that person like that. And what we find is if we go to a heart that has this performance and this control and this lie that's based in usually in a wound or in a traumatic event or some kind of emotional trauma, there's a lie that we find right there that we picked up along the way. And so I believe that God is wanting us to release healing. And we need to be aware of what God's using us in this season for. He's using us to bring healing, to bring restoration, and to bring life to his body. I want to appreciate some people in here. Actually, I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you all. I love you. Thank you. I love you too. I appreciate everyone. And there are some of you that labor a lot in this assembly. You labor caring for people's hearts. And you give of yourself and of your time, and I want to bless you for that. There is a work that is available right here and around us as much as we are willing to step into, to work and labor and care for people's hearts, care for people's souls. There is the work of the apostle that establishes and prepares a way and breaks the rough ground. There's the work of the prophet that brings alignment and vision. There is the work of the evangelist that breaks out and brings the lost in. There's the work of the teacher that establishes and instructs and builds up. There's the work of the pastor that cares for the hearts and blesses. And in that environment of God's blessing, their sons and daughters are equipped and empowered. Their mighty warriors are brought up and trained and equipped and empowered to go out. This year, I believe, is a year of acceleration. I believe this year we're going to see an acceleration of God's outpouring in our life. We're going to see an acceleration of, I believe we're going to see an answer to many years of prayer at a larger level. There's going to be waves of release spiritually that is happening this year. Waves of spiritual release. And I believe that as much as we are willing to be available and step into the work, it's going to come. As much as we are available, that's how much God will use us. As much as we're available to be used by God. In the midst of this, I also recognize that there is priorities that we have to have because there are needs and demands of community and people's lives that draw from us. And I'll share how I believe priorities. Priorities have to be like Jesus when he was worn out or he was tired. He went away in the wilderness and he got refreshed. Every one of us needs to be able to pull away from the mundane, the daily, the grind, the pressures, and the tug, and to be able to get away and to refresh. If we're not refreshed, we're not effective. We need to take care of ourselves. In an airplane, they have these masks. They say, if in case of an accident, in case of, smoke, you pull down your oxygen mask first, and then you help your person beside you. Because if you pass out, you can't help anybody. And in the same way, in the ministry, we have to have our spiritual oxygen, our refreshing times. We have to take care of ourselves. It's not wrong to take time out to take care of ourselves, to get refreshed. I believe that our marriages need to be of the top importance for those of us that are married. If our marriage is not working and we go out and labor and we come back and our marriage is falling apart, we don't have a stability or foundation to function out of. Our marriages are number one in relationship, need to be strong marriages. Number two, our families. If we miss it with our children, we've literally missed it with our family. The possession that God directly gave us, 100%, the highest level of influence is right with our own children. The highest level of influence. We can influence others around us, but with our children, it is the most direct influence that we have. We need to take care of that very well. First, our marriages. Second, our children. In my life, it has thirdly been here. Whoever's in our assembly, in our flock, gets the most, or the first. And after that, it's out. Now, evangelists may say, oh, we get bored with the flock, we got to go out. Nothing wrong with that. Go out. It's okay. Go out and about and do the evangelist work. It's wonderful. So anyway, whatever God shows you for that, I want to bless that, and I'll bless you.